Friday. Okay, streamer just kicked in. Is safety words for Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. When we get to our news section, we will be replaying the beginning disclaimer, waiting for things to kick in here. Now, all right. So, like I said, it's been a couple of days on the Department of Labor has not updated their website since Friday. EPA has not updated their website since Monday morning sometime. So I think they're waiting for the people to get confirmed and everything else so they get some kind of direction. There are nominees out there. With that, just there are nominees. I don't know how it's going to go for them, but we will see with this. I don't know. It's going to be one hell of a ride. That's all I have to say here. One hell of a ride with this whole process here. And yes, I do have multiple cameras right now on our OBS system here. So we're trying it out. We're seeing how it goes. Still trying things out. I think I got to do a little bit more work here in getting the studio set up here, unless I want to spend a lot more money on cameras. Okay, now, where are we? Let's, we're going to go right to share screen here. And we're going to So what am I talking about? They haven't updated things. I don't know if they will update things, which means it's going to be a little bit more prep work for me to go and dig out OSHA violations and things of that nature in the for the program. But I don't think we're going to it'll just be more work for me. That's okay. No, it is what it is here. And I think I'm going to say this much. If you are a regular listener, a lot of what we discuss here is relevant to what's going on. What do you mean, Jim? Well, we're going to go a little bit later on here with one of the executive orders and with one of the executive orders and what how it is relevant to something we shared here on November 13th. And I believe I'm the only one that talks about this stuff on the air live. Right. Basically, Jay Allen and I are the only people that have live radio shows for this, as far as I know, in this country, at least. Even though some of the people have video casts and it's heavily produced and they get out one or two a week. And it's, perfect. And everything, not perfect here. When they moved the inauguration indoors, then things didn't go off perfectly, but you never saw things that didn't go off perfectly there. Now, this is from January 20th, 2025. And no, I have a feeling President Trump's going to have a lot of stuff here. So to talk about. To the Senate of the United States to nominate, and these are some of the things that are safety related. Scott Bessent, Secretary of Treasury, Pamela Bondi to be Attorney General, Lori Chavez de Raymer of Oregon. She's currently a congresswoman out of Oregon. I believe it's the 2nd district. She has had very good dealings with labor unions. So I believe this is why the president has recommended her. And we have going down here, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services. Kristi Noem of South Dakota, Secretary of Homeland Security. These are all pretty familiar people. Marco Rubio, I'm not reading all of them off. Marco Rubio to be Secretary of State. Eric Turner, the head of Secretary of HUD. Christopher Wright of Colorado, Secretary of Energy. And going down, Kelly Loeffler, SBA Administrator. And that was Lee Zeldin of New York to be Administrator of the EPA. Those are the people so far. Now, you're going to say, well, okay, well, that's good, Jim. what about what we deal with safety? Now, primarily OSHA. Well, there are a couple of, we do have some news there. If we go on here, where is it? Here, let me share here. It is. So if you look at the org chart of OSHA, they have an org chart on there, that thing. So here we have Scott Ketchum is the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Labor for Occupational Safety and Health. It's not the Assistant Secretary of Labor. We're going to go into that in a minute. But he is the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Labor for Occupational Safety and Health. And let me go back just a little bit here, right? One page. Organizational chart that you have that's coming up here. If you're listening on the radio, I'll try to describe this. So at the top of this, you have Senior Policy Advisor, and that's vacant. Policy Advisor, they have not updated this yet. Policy Advisor, vacant. Now, this is the here Assistant Secretary of Labor for Occupational Safety and Health. That is vacant. Trump has nominated Keith Sonderling, and we're going to go into who that is for that. And the gentleman that we just mentioned here, boom, boom, boom. Hold on. Just lost it. Scott Ketchum, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Labor for Occupational Safety and Health. He is on he basically runs half of the agency on the org chart, and then someone else runs the other half. But this is who's being nominated. Scott Ketchum, Deputy Assistant Secretary of Labor for Occupational Safety and Health. Scott Ketchum is the Deputy Assistant of Labor for OSHA in the national office. He has been in this position since December 2024. He was an acting, and now, is my understanding, they made him a permanent here. Prior to this position, he served as Director of Enforcement Programs, Director of the Directorate of Construction over a period of 6 years, and was the Deputy Director of Construction Directorate for 2 years. Before coming to the national office, Mr. Ketchum served almost 20 years in the field in various capacities, including Area Director of the Anchorage office, Assistant Area Director in the Lubbock, Texas area office. Man, that's one hell of a change in climate there, right? Maybe not this week. It's bad. It's a bad example. Acting Deputy Regional Administrator in Seattle and Philadelphia regional offices, in addition to serving the Boise, Little Rock, El Paso, and Austin area offices as a compliance officer. Before joining OSHA, he spent 5 years as a staff industrial hygienist with the U.S. Army Medical Activity at Bassett Army Hospital on Fort Wainwright in Alaska. He holds a master's in public administration from the University of Alaska and a Bachelor of Science degree from Texas A&M, and is a certified safety professional. He serves on the ANSI ASSP A10 Construction and Demolition Standards Committee as a member. He is now spent 24 years in the active Army, Army Reserve, the Army National Guard as a commissioned officer, retiring in 2012. So good luck, Scott Ketchum, on that one. So let's move on over to the next one. And I can't show this because this is not from a government website. This is from littler.com. Story by Bradford Kelly and Lorenzo Riboni and this was a week old. Former EEOC Commissioner and acting WHD Administrator Keith Sonderling announced as picked for Deputy Secretary of Labor. This is from President-elect Trump, named former U.S. Equal Opportunity Commissioner Keith Sonderling as his pick for Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Labor. And this is a significant appointment as it places an experienced labor and employment attorney who has served in both the EEOC and DOL as a second in command of the previous announced Secretary of Labor pick, Lori Chavez de Raymer. And again, he may turn out to be a really, really good administrator. Let's give the man a chance. but I would have liked to see somebody with a little bit more technical experience here running this whole thing. But and so as the uh, uh, article goes on to say, the Deputy Secretary of Labor serves as de facto chief operating officer of the DOL. That's probably why they chose him. My thinking is, and the DOL has a $14 billion budget, 17,000 person workforce. So he had already headed up the EEOC, already headed up a federal agency, probably, from that point of view, probably a really good pick. The article goes on to say it gives a couple of reasons. One, it's a complimentary pick to the DOL secretary nominee, and what the author of the article says is that more opinion letters from the DOL is what they expect. That will provide timely guidance to employers and the public in ever evolving labor market. Now, Sheldon Primus, who is on the Safety FM network, he's been on our show here. He points out that when a Republican is in, it's usually compliance assistance, and this would go exactly with what Sheldon says is on here. DOL may address AI, cryptocurrency, and other technologies. Welcome news for independent contractors in the gig economy. Sonderling has a history of supporting independent contractors and providing clear guidance in this area. We'll talk about that in the very near future, is that sort of thing, because I know somebody who really got screwed with this situation in the last couple of weeks here, because he got screwed with it. A return of a proactive self programs such as self-audit programs. Sonderling has believed, and this is number 5 from the article, has long believed that voluntary compliance should be encouraged and incentivized. And it gives a couple of examples. So that's basically what he did there. We'll see how it works out for him. Article from Reuters. Basically, no new information here from Reuters with this. No, on the EEOC, he was guess he was a commissioner on there, didn't really head this, according to this article. And no, he was at odds with the Democratic leadership there. So that's the other thing. So, no, I've heard things. Well, Trump is appointed a Democrat there. Nah, not really. He was like the sole Republican on the committee here who dissented on the EEOC. Good luck to everybody here. I'm willing to give everybody a fair shake with this, and I hope they do well. I mean, if they're successful with that, that's good. Now, my whole thing is that we need to have, right, here's
from the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars with your host, Jim Posel on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
I want to face the harsh reality here. Right. According to the OSHA 300 logs and everything, 5,000 people, give or take, every year die in the workplace. 2.7 to 3 million non-fatal occupational injuries. And what they don't talk about is the 50,000 other people that they know have died. This isn't Jimmy's number. This is the OSHA number on their press releases, which we read here. 50,000 people dead from basically industrial hygiene issues here. This is what we need to be concerned with. Now, I've said recently, you can't, and I know I'm active on social media, and I've also directed messages at VIPs here. You cannot regulate your self to safety. We can't do it. We've been trying that. It takes many years to get stuff through the the pipeline with, when you deal with the lawsuits, you're dealing with this and you're dealing with that. And it takes years. So what's my point here? Can't regulate. So what does that mean? That means that you have to get these cameras right. We got a new setup here. You have to, right? You don't need an administrator of OSHA. You don't need OSHA to work safely, right? It's nice. And am I saying get rid of OSHA? No. What I'm saying is you don't need OSHA out there to work safely. We are safety professionals. We can supply leadership, education, training. The companies have to make companies need to make a commitment, right? Need to make a commitment for us out there with getting people to work safe and everything else. It is what it is. I mean, we have to deal with reality here, but we don't necessarily need these people to work safely. We could do that internally. Now, that's going to take management and people like us making a commitment to the workforce and to each other to work safely. To keep on, to keep on saying, well, we're going to have, we need this, we need that, we need leadership. Yes, we do, but we could be the leader here with this. And we can take advantage of that. And that's part of what we're doing here on Safety Wars is to be the leader, right? Be the leaders in the industry. And with that, we're going to go to commercial break. Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that is designed to actually address and assess your hazards and liabilities and is not standardized baloney from generations ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call me, Jim Polzel, at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you are receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Yeah. Oh. 2025, it's rolling in. Safety first, let's start the spin. Protect your hands, your eyes, your grin. OSHA's here, let's all begin. Fireworks, they light the skies, but safety glows within our eyes. Goggles, gloves, a wise disguise. Keep those limbs, love, no goodbyes. Or drop the ball, not the guard. OSHA rules may seem so hard, but they're here to keep us smart, safe and sound in every part.
Okay, so here we are back, and we can't. OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Polzel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy.
Yes, Jessica, I am your father. Okay, some other news here, and then we're going to get to some of these executive orders. Trump fires heads of the we'll do the OSHA website then later on, because I know we're going to run into hour 2, which is politics more, and there's a lot of commentary here politically. So if you're a new listener or a viewer, hour 2 is over on Rumble and YouTube, and where we go into some politics here. Just to give you a little background, I am, I'll make it official here. I am inserting myself back into the political landscape, something that I said I would never do. But things change. Things change. And they're with everything going on here, 2028 coming up, it's necessary, right? You want to get in at the beginning of the cycle. so that we have a 4-year cycle. You want to get into the beginning of the cycle and not to be a Johnny come lately. And what are we going to supply? What do we do best? We do best presenting, explaining, educating. So that's what we're in. I'm involved in an voter education group right now. We have and they've been going every month. They have a meeting, and they have several meetings around the area at different locations. And we go and we educate the public on issues, on mostly, on basically on issues. And every month it's a different issue. And that's what we're about. Which is good. And then they get into some activism, but that's not the primary goal. Our primary goal is education, training, motivations, leadership, just to keep people in the loop on what's going on with their government and also extra government, meaning worldwide. But anyway, this is what happened this week also. I mean, he's hit the ground running. This is a story from Josh Funk from LATimes.com. Trump fires says the TSA, Transportation Security Administration, Coast Guard, and guts key aviation safety advisory council. President Trump has fired the heads of Transportation Security Administration and Coast Guard before their terms are up and eliminated all the members of a key aviation security advisory group. Trump's immigration policy changes drew the most attention to the Department of Homeland Security, but he is also making changes at the rest of the massive agency. Members of the Aviation Security Advisory Committee received a memo Tuesday saying that the department is eliminating the membership of all advisory committees as part of a commitment to eliminating the misuse of resources and ensuring that DHS activities prioritize national security. The Aviation Security Committee, which was mandated by Congress after 1988 Pan Am 103 bombing over Lockerbie, Scotland, will technically continue to exist. We won't have any members to carry out the work of examining safety issues at airlines and airports. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of stuff like that tomorrow morning if we haven't heard about it tonight. I have not seen anything here on this today. I mean, before the show, other than this. It wasn't immediately clear how many other committees were effectively eliminated Tuesday or whether other departments will take similar actions. A similar safety group advises the Federal Railroad Administration on new rules and safety issues in that industry. But going on, I mean, this is a controversial thing. We'll see how it impacts airline safety, if at all. We're going to mosey on over to this. I'm going to go into, let me see, I have a stack of stuff here now because we have a document camera. With this, hold on here. I feel like another famous radio talk show host here. Hold on, everybody. Sorry about that. We do a live program here. With here we have this. All stuff here on this. Hold on, here we go. Okay, so let's switch on over to the document camera here. All right. Yes. Okay, so here we have reforming the federal hiring process and restoring merit to government service. All right, this is let's see how this works out here. With this. Can we see this? Oh, we can do that too. Oh, that's cool. So here we have reforming the federal hiring process, restoring merit to government service. This executive order printed out yesterday. by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including blah, 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 is hereby ordered. American citizens deserve an excellent and efficient federal workforce that attracts the highest caliber of civil servants committed to achieving the freedom, prosperity, and democratic rule that our Constitution promotes. But current federal hiring practices are broken, insular, and outdated. They no longer focus on merit, practical skill, and dedication to our Constitution. Federal hiring should not be based on impermissible factors such as one's commitment to illegal racial discrimination under the guise of equity or one's commitment to the invented concept of gender identity over sex. I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just saying, I'm reading this out here. Inserting such factors into the hiring process subverts the will of the people, puts government functions at risk, and risks losing the best qualified candidates. Now, going on, basically, within 120 days of this order, the assistant to the president for domestic policy, in consultation with the Director of Office of Management and Budget, aka OMB. Going on. And going on and on and on. Shall develop and send to agencies heads a federal hiring plan that brings the federal workforce only highly skilled Americans dedicated to the furtherance of American ideals, values, and interests. And it goes on and on with some details. And basically, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, is basically out the window with this, as along with other things. So, I don't know. See what happens. And for some reason, are we not on the air on Safety FM? Hold on. Let's see where we are here. Hold on, folks. I might have accidentally knocked ourselves off the air. Maybe, maybe not. So we'll just see where we are here. Oh, we are on. I think we did accidentally knock ourselves off the air. Okay, sorry about that, folks. Now, you're going to say, well, why am I covering this on the first hour? This sounds very political. It's because of this. And I'm going to do a share screen here so you folks see what we're talking about. On or about here, MX Rio. So, share. Remember, what we're looking at is our November, on or about November, this is right off the DOL website today, November 13th this was. All right, so you can say, well, damn it, Jim, blah, 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 DEI is out the window. And I know I'm DEI. I went through the training. I went through a little bit more than the training. I actually got a full-blown certificate in DEI on here and took like a 1 week long course on it. So I know a little bit about DEI here. And we all know that a lot of the stuff DEI is had to deal with is like safety 30 years ago. But the difference between safety and DEI is that DEI, not generally speaking, except for discrimination, like based on race, religion, that sort of thing, DEI is not mandatory, except in a few things. Where safety is a right that you have. You have a right to safe and healthful workplace free of recognized hazards under the William Steiger Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970. Right? You know the whole history. If you've been through outreach training, they're supposed to go through that, but I think I'm the only guy that does it anymore. I'm just saying. But you too can have that knowledge. 845-269-5772. Jim at safetywars.com. So here we have U.S. Department of Labor comments for the Skills First Hiring Guide to help employers hire, promote workers based on skill and knowledge. So before you start ripping apart President Trump, and I'm not being an apologist here, I'm just saying for you not to be a hypocrite. Believe me, this is what it is. This was right from the Department of Labor, November 13th. And isn't this a nice thing? Right? Skills first hiring starting kit, a guide for hiring better and faster. U.S. Department of Labor, U.S. Department of Commerce. This is like a 20-page document. We're not going to go here. This is a starter kit. This is for small business employers, medium-sized and larger employers. I guess that didn't include the government on this. With this, the starter kit builds upon the foundation of EOL and Commerce's good jobs principles, a shared vision of job quality informing billions of generational investments in infrastructure, advanced manufacturing, and clean energy. The recruitment and hiring principle urges use of skills first hiring strategies. And it goes on and on and on. I mean, being a small business owner, I didn't know that we had to have competent people I had to hire. Really? Really? Skills first hiring, also known as skills based hiring, means hiring or promotion of workers around skills, knowledge, and abilities that workers can show they actually have, regardless of how or where workers got those skills. So this is all basically with it, right? What's the idea? You may be familiar with this. Removing a 4-year degree requirement is only one consideration in building a skills first strategy. Okay, so I don't see race anything anywhere in here. So let me here find right. Let's see, race. Not in here. Religion. Not in here. Gender. Not in here. So what am I saying here is that the Biden administration in November promoted this. But Trump actually put it into the hands of everybody with this. So should I be really upset, or you be really upset about the DEI when Biden really went back on this himself? I don't know. I wouldn't, some people just going to hate. Haters are going to hate right here with this. But without the background, that's the advantage of listening to our show, is that we actually went into this here with this skills first hiring starter kit. Now, with that, okay. Now, this is also what's out there is all of this. Now, please note that as of 1/20/2025, information in some news releases may be out of date or not reflect current policies. Okay, fair enough. So let's go back here to last Friday. Like I said, I don't know how this is going to do here. Federal workplace safety investigators found that a Decatur manufacturer of GE brand appliances failed to follow required machine standards that could have prevented a 50. Hold on. I got to do this disclaimer here before we do this. Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
All right, so here we are. No, I don't want. No, everyone knows that this is right off a government website, but sometimes people get upset. Federal workplace safety investigators found that a Decatur manufacturer of GE brand appliances failed to follow required machine standards that could have prevented a 58-year-old frontline supervisor's fatal injuries while trying to service a door molding machine. One hell of a way to go, man. And this was in July 2024 at Hair US Appliance Solutions. And a company faces $193,585,000 in penalties. And this is our usual front matter here. Okay, I have not looked at this, so I'm going to guess lockout tagout is the big one here. Let's see if that's true. Citation item one, item one, type of violation serious, lockout tagout, 16,131. And remember, this was over. This is with the old schedule. The new schedule, which we went through the other day, which I don't have in front of me, is like 5% higher. So they got in on the 115. This was like the day before, right? Oh well, they had to do it last year's thing. So this was got in right here under the limit here, and we're still going to see that lower level from 2024 going up until like June, probably, if they choose to continue with the press releases. 29 CFR 1910.212, machine guarding, 16,131. Citation to item one, willful, serious. Again, this was for lockout tagout. Procedures are not developed, documented, or utilized for the control of potentially hazardous energy when employees are engaged in activities covered in this. So, line 3 door, line wheel. The employer did not ensure employees are locking out the foam wheel prior to entering, exposing them to caught in and struck by hazards. 161,323. That's the max. Citation 3, item 1, other than serious, no HAZCOM labels. That was $0, and for a grand total of a proposed $193,585 here. With that, very frustrating. Again, I don't know. No, talking about self-checks, us going to self-checking, they were doing self-checking anyway. They weren't doing it. This is what happens when the companies do self-check. That is why the employee has to be the one who educates him or herself and maybe puts up, there's a little bit of pushback with this. Braintree, Massachusetts. A Wilmington construction contractor could have prevented a fatal workplace incident at the Cutler Majestic Theater in Boston that claimed the life of a 44-year-old construction worker in August 2024 by following fall protection manners. So, again, 6 serious violations and one other than serious health and safety violation. Let's take a look at this, what this is. All right. Citation one, item 1. Competent person. Again, with a construction job, you have to have a competent person there. So frequent and regular inspections of the job sites, materials, and equipment were not made by a competent person designated by the employer. With that, so there are numerous slip, strips, and fall hazards. $16,131. Citation one, item 2, type of violation, serious. Scaffolds and scaffold components are not inspected for visible defects by a competent person before each work shift. Again, no competent person there. 16,131. Has to be documented somewhere. 29 CFR 1926-451, scaffolds are not erected, moved, dismantled, or altered by experienced and trained employees under the supervision of a competent person. Guy was 50 feet up to 50 feet off the ground without the supervision of a competent person. 29 CFR 1926.451, each employee on a scaffold more than 10 feet above a lower level was not protected from falling to that lower level. An employee was not protected for falling 50 feet to the pavement below while removing scrim netting from a pipe staging scaffold system. An employee fell from the top level of pipe station 50 foot and sustained 16,131. Citation 1, item 5, type of violation serious. Again, under the under the competent person standard here, 1926 451 for fall protection, and the employer did not ensure the competent person had determined the feasibility and safety of providing fall protections. Again, if you're going to do that assessment, you better do it in freaking writing, people. To prove that you did it. Something. Anchorages. This is a type of violation serious. Anchorages used for attachment of personal fall arrest systems are not designed, installed, and used under supervision of a qualified person. On or about blah, blah, blah. Employees are exposed to a fall hazard while working where the horizontal life line, it should be horizontal lifeline, got to be AI for doing this, man. When the horizontal lifeline was not installed and used under the supervision. So they had it, maybe. Maybe they had it, maybe they didn't. Wasn't installed. Citation 1, item 7, 1926-502. Personal fall arrest systems were not rigged so that an employee cannot fall more than 6 feet. So on or about August 9th, a personal fall arrest system provided to employees was not rigged in such a way that would have prevented employees from falling more than 6 feet, 16,131. Now, let me, a little bit of explanation there. If you have fall protection, you have a lanyard, and that attaches from the harness to an anchorage point. That lanyard has a certain fall distance that it has to maintain. Often when you see more than 6 feet, it's either some type of a leading edge lanyard without a shock absorber, not a yo-yo or a self-retracting lanyard, as we used to call them, deceleration device. It's usually with something, or it's with a homemade rope, maybe. So, for example, hey, I'm going to connect over here, way over here, and I'm going to walk it out over here. And then if I fall, I'm going to swing, and it's going to be greater than 6 foot, that sort of thing. Again, that's one of the things that is not covered in fall protection classes. I'm going to tell you, how do I know? Whenever I do it, dude, I've been doing this for 30 years. I never heard of that. Holy, do you have some literature on it? I don't believe you. Yeah, here it is. It's right here from X, Y, and Z manufacturer. Oh, wow. How can you be doing this for 30 years and no safety person ever pointed this out? No. And you actually believe the guy with these things, right? Some of the guys are, I didn't know that. Well, in the New York area, it's like, oh, I know. I guess you bought everything on the street here. Citation 2, item 1, type of violation other than serious. The employer did not provide an authorized government representative the records within 4 business hours. They got them for $2,300. OSHA 300 log has to be there within 4 business hours after request with this, and for a proposed penalty of $115,221. Ay caramba. All right, judge finds scaffold installation company exposed employees of faults by using an unsafe scaffold at a high-rise Massachusetts work site. Okay, what do we got here? Administrative, so they had done this in 2021, and they appealed it up to the Occupational Safety and Health Review Commission. The administrative law judgment affirmed the citation and assessed a $6,000 penalty. Let's see what we have. The employer argued that OSHA should have allowed the company to use a non-compliant scaffold. All employers, I got to hear this one. Hopefully they detail it. Right. So, going down. So here it is. The respondent designs, this is the introduction, fabricates, installs, and maintains suspension scaffolds that are used in construction projects on high-rise buildings. Okay, so here we are. In 2020 and 2021, the company provided 2-point, meaning one on each side, right? Adjustable suspension scaffolds for project to remove and replace exterior curtain walls. OSHA received an anonymous complaint that the suspension scaffolds had inadequate fall protection. So this is from a referral. OSHA dispatched compliance safety person, going on and on. As a result of OSHA's inspection and investigation, OSHA issued the company a citation and notification and penalty that alleges one series of violations of OSHA's scaffold standard, which requires 2-point adjustable suspension scaffolds to be equipped with additional independent support lines and automatic locking devices capable of stopping the fall of the scaffold in the event of one or both suspension ropes fail. So if the suspension ropes fail somehow, right, and this scaffold starts to go down, there's an automatic braking system in there, similar to, I don't want to say similar, I don't know, because I don't know about the engineering or dynamics, but it acts the same way as a self-retracting lanyard, right? Once it goes over a certain speed, it locks. Citation alleged that the company violated, they give you a citation there on or about April 30th, averring that the 2-point adjustable suspension scaffolds, I had to ask, I'd never heard of that word. What does averring mean? Is this the AI averring? What is averring? Define averring. Let's see. The term averring means to assert or affirm with confidence. In legal context, it often refers to stating or alleging something as a fact in a formal declaration or pleading. In the selected text, averring is used to indicate the citation formally stated or alleged that the 2-point adjustable suspension scaffolds and used at the work site were not equipped with additional independent support lines that were equal in number of the blah, blah, blah. All right. So, so they were averring, like, really, hey, we're good. We're confident. Look at us. That the 2-point adjustable suspension scaffolds and used at the work site were not equipped additional independent support lines that were equal in number, right? So that's what the complaint said. The company timely contested the citation, right, within that 15 business days. And the matter was assigned to undersigned commission judge for adjudication in July 2022. So the principal issues presented and the decisions thereon are as follows. It is decided standards provision that certain scaffolds shall be equipped with additional independent support lines that are equal in number and strength to the suspension ropes, susceptible of only one reasonable construction. Yes. The quoted language permits only one reasonable construction. Right? Decision. No, if blah, blah, blah were susceptible of multiple constructions, does it permit the reasonable construction that the required additional independent support lines may exist after a suspension rope has failed? No. So they were saying we only need it after we have a problem. We only need all this stuff after there's a problem. Right? And they were saying, well, this might cause a greater hazard, according to this, is how I'm reading this. No, none of the elements of the defense have been established by the preponderance of the hazard. So this whole thing is, now we hear this often, and we hear this often. If I do that, then it's a greater hazard, right? With that. That's what we hear. Well, the judge here didn't buy it. Here. Well, I can't do that. That causes a greater hazard. So we're not going to do that. Oh, so you're going to remove capacity and resilience from the system the way that it was designed and set up. Yeah, that's a winning argument. Yeah. You have to have all of these things ready to go. Got to have them ready to go. You can't say, and this is what happens with safety people. No backbone. None. Zero. I had to hear about a story today from somebody, a safety person, where somebody fell off a roof because the The safety person didn't say anything. No backbone. Hey, put on your fall protection. Go bleep yourself, and here's a New Jersey salute for you. Followed up. And what happened? The person fell off the roof. You know, no backbone on anything. The person could have stopped the work. All right. And then it goes into history of the company, what they were doing there. And they were trying to establish some kind of credibility here. And what the contract was. The company leased to the general contractor 2-point adjustable suspension scaffolds that are known as swing stage scaffolds. And some of the swing stage scaffolds had one platform, and others were two-tiered, with one worked for flat right above the other one. And you could go and read the decision yourself here. Very, very thing. And no, I'm going to say this. Kudos to, am I allowed to say that, to the compliance officers, because usually these compliance officers do not know about suspended scaffolds. I was just reviewing some pictures. No, I'm cleaning up my hard drive here. Pictures from like 15 years ago from a case I was involved with where nobody knew nothing about this thing with the scaffold, and they screwed up the investigation awfully here. Anything else interesting here? Very thing. No, it's a 26-page thing here. I would advise you. There's a little bit of an education here. We really can't do it here in the scope of this program. But I would go out, and this was from last week, the 17th, on the Department of Labor website here. Now, I'm going to say this. No, we'll be going through some of this tomorrow, assuming we're going to be on tomorrow with this. So my question is this. We're seeing a lot on this on the website and everything else, since we've been covering them, about illegal immigrants allegedly being, employed, people not getting paid, independent contractors, child labor. Child labor is what concerns me the most. Yeah, those other things are important, but child labor, we're getting child labor violations. Are those the 300,000 children that have gone missing, according to the Associated Press? I don't know. With that, I think the administration has got to go back and revisit who were these children? Are these the ones that are missing? Are these the ones that got smuggled over the border and went into bad things they got involved in, where they were using them as slave labor and then as prostitutes, and then when they're done with slave labor and prostitutes, they use them for organ donors, is according to one article I read over the weekend with this. Are these where this is at? The other thing is New Orleans for the Super Bowl. I have a feeling that New Orleans is going to have a lot of ICE activity out there because of this situation, what I just told you, with the child labor and child prostitution, pedophilia, that sort of thing. Buckle up. We're going to have a fun 4 years here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So we're going to go to our patriotic music, which is our custom here. And I will see you on the other end of the hour. We're going to take a little brief break here. I got to get something to drink here for this throat of mine. Weather has been brutal up here. And I will see you on the other side of the hour with Warning, the following broadcast contains adult language, adult content, frank safety discussions, and stories that might sound unbelievable. But believe me, every one of those stories is true. We didn't start the safety war, but we are going to fight to win it. For our families, for our communities, for our workplaces, and for our lives. And welcome to hour 2 of Safety Wars. Maybe I should name it something else. Jim Poulsen After Dark. Safety Wars After Dark. Then it sounds like a, one of those shows that used to be on the old 97.1 FM back in the 80s. And you know what I'm talking about. Some of you listeners I went to high school with. Right? They had all these relationships. And Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Right? So, anyway, what an earful what an education we used to get from Dr. Ruth. Unbelievable. Anyway. So, what's this hour 2? Hour 2 is real simple. We talk politics here with everything. Now, so, hour 1, we're on Safety FM. That's live. And we talk about safety, a little bit of politics when it intersects with safety. But here we basically go on pure politics here for this. Now, I was in a meeting last night with a voter education group. And just as a reminder, I was involved in politics for many years, and I don't endorse any candidates, at least officially on the air, but I do, when they pay me to, go for it. I'm not an apologist for any candidate, but we're about here analysis, Jim's thoughts, Jim's opinions. It's about education. Why did we start doing this recently? Number one, it's important to get in on the beginning of the election cycle. And you're going to say, well, Jim, we just had one in November. Oh, guess what? The election for 2028 started the Wednesday after the election. Regardless of who you voted for, if you like the election turnout, if you like the results, didn't like the results, or ambivalent in the Israel, it started the day after the election. We try to take a little bit of a break between then, and I tried to get some interest to see. No, I started this hour too. Let's try to get some interest. Guess what? We got overwhelming. You should have been doing this all the time. Well, okay. When you pay my freaking bills, then you can dictate to me, right, on how we do this. Here. So, no, we're talking politics. So we're not endorsing any one side, but what we want is reason and truth. That's what we're doing here. So we're going to go through some of these here press releases. And again, he's only been in office 2.5 days, essentially. And we're already up to 7 pages. So we're going to do a share screen here of some of this stuff. Oh, hold on. Let's go to commercial break here real quick, and we'll do that when we come back. Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Poulsen at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces. So, that was my brother. He didn't realize I'm on hour 2. He should be watching and listening here. What we're going to talk about, and we're going to do a share screen here with this, because we want, this is what happens. We get filters all over the top. let's get a filter. Hey, we're going to, no, that's not what this means. No, that's what it means. And we want reality here. So some of the ones that we went over already, let's switch on over to the document camera here. So here we have reforming the federal hiring process, restoring merit to government-based service. We talked about this. Now people are like, well, Jim, what's the big deal? Well, Department of Labor last year when they're the ones who started this. Well, what do you mean they're the ones that started this? Right. If you're listening hour one, we went into the November 13th document from Department of Labor and Department of Commerce. They had a joint document that said hire on merit, basically. So and knowledge and experience, and no, don't worry about the 4-year degree here. Well, here we have reforming the federal hiring process and restoring merit to government service. Golly. So what the Biden administration was saying everybody should do, Trump is now saying, okay, not only are we going to, I seriously doubt that someone on the thing read it unless they were on here, because we do know that there is one mainstream radio talk show host that does, and I inadvertently found out about it, listen to this. I doubt that he was looking at that document, but here we go. Document camera acting up. Okay, with that. All right, here we have return to in per work. Right, heads of all departments and agencies in the executive branch of the government shall, as soon as practicable, take all necessary steps to terminate remote work arrangements. And I'll add this, that were set up during the pandemic, and require employees to return to work in person at their respective duty stations on a full-time basis. Provided that the department and agency heads shall make exemptions as they deem necessary. This memorandum shall be implemented consistent with applicable law. Here we have one on the environment, putting America first in international agreements by the authority vested in me as president of the Constitution, going on and on. All of them start basically the same way. Here's our orders. Section 1, purpose. The U.S. must grow its economy and maintain jobs for its citizens while playing a leadership role in global efforts to protect the environment. Over the decades, with the help of sensible policies that do not encumber private sector activity, the United States has simultaneously grown its economy, raised worker wages, and increased energy production, reduced air and water pollution. That is true on that. And reduced greenhouse gas emissions. The U.S. successful track record advancing both economic and environmental objectives should be a model for other countries. In recent years, the U.S. has reported to join international agreements and initiatives that do not reflect our country's values or contributions to the pursuit of economic and environmental objectives. This is usually, or something like this, when I go away for political education meetings, this is what we cover, stuff like this. Moreover, these agreements steer American taxpayer dollars to countries that do not require or merit financial assistance in the interests of the American people. Code word, China and other countries. All right, I don't know about China, but China's giving us money, so it's like a weird thing here. But there are other countries that do not merit this, at least in the president's opinion. It's a policy of my administration to put the interests of the U.S. and the American people first in the development and negotiation of any international agreements with the potential to damage or stifle the American economy. These agreements must not unduly or unfairly burden the United States. The United States ambassador to the UN shall immediately submit formal written notification of the United States withdrawal from the Paris Agreement under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The notice shall be submitted to the Secretary General of the United States, the depository of the agreement, attached in Appendix A, and going on with that. So we're out. You can go and look at it for yourself. I'm not going to read everything. Now, let me comment on this. For years, I had as a mentor a UN ambassador. You could go look that up. And one of the things that he had said to me was, and I developed a relationship with him pretty well. One of the things that he had stated to me on all of this was uh, the when we go to negotiate in front of the UN, right? Basic game theory. You go and you advocate for your side. The other side advocates for their side. And then you come to a Nash equilibrium sort of thing, right? Where you're together. John Nash, A Beautiful Mind, Russell Crowe movie. Go and check it out. But you reach what is called Nash equilibrium, and where things balance out, right? You advocate for your side, I advocate for my side. United States typically does not do that. Has a history of not doing that with this, and that's I think what upset upset the apple cart when Trump came in. Well, hey, he's a negotiator. He knows whether you love him or you hate him. No one's going to deny without looking foolish that the man negotiates. That's what the man does. He negotiates. So what's my point is he negotiates. He goes in there and says, what the flip is this? Well, I'm advocating for us. Why am I advocating for you? It's like our own ambassadors are not advocating for us. This is how we come up with these lopsided agreements, at least according to my mentor here with this. And that's probably, if I had to guess, it's probably where he's going on this. Right? Here's, let's get the other camera here, right? I'll get our other camera here. It's going to be reprogrammed, right? So I go, like you see, I got the whole background here and everything. We got to get rid of that thing. Fix that. All right. So withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization. This is another one that piqued my interest. So this is a safety thing. Withdrawing the United Nations from the World Health Organization by the authority vested in me as president of the Constitution, by the Constitution, the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Section 1 purpose. All right. The United States notices withdrawal from the World Health Organization in 2020 due to this organization's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic that rose out of Wuhan, China. Again, we covered the congressional report on this, and we will cover it again. And that is why Fauci and many others, because of those two congressional reports, got pardons because they broke the law lying to Congress. You cannot lie to, allegedly, all right, allegedly, according to the document. You cannot go around lying to Congress and it's okay. Can't do that. All right, people go to jail for that. Organizations mishandling COVID-19 pandemic that rose out of Wuhan, China, and other global health crisis, its failure to adopt urgently needed reforms, and its inability to demonstrate the independence from the inappropriate political influence of who? Member states, aka China. That one's definitely China. Did you know that Taiwan is not a member of the WHO because China said, we'll take care of them. They're a breakaway province. Really? So the whole, Taiwanese government, no, they don't get the quote unquote benefit of WHO. The United States intends to withdraw from the WHO. The presidential letter to the Secretary General of the United Nations signed on January 20th, 2021 that retracted the U.S. decision of July 6, 2020. Notification withdrawal is revoked. Okay. How's that going to, I don't know. With a lot of these international agreements here, they are not, they're not equal. Let's face it, they're not equal. They're not equally, we're not equally yoked with anybody here. We're the ones paying for all this stuff. This is the argument here. Again, they knew this was coming. The internationalists out there know and everything. Populism is on the rise, not only in the United States, but now it's gone into Canada. It's gone into Western Europe, Eastern Europe. Forget about it. Populism has been there. And they can't read the tea leaves. And I think this is what's really upset the apple cart with everything. Well, right, because they wanted to get that, and I'm not the first one to say this, but I thought about this way since at least 1992 here, my entire adult life, where they really are. There's other stuff going on here outside of the government with a lot of these international groups. I'm sorry, you know who they are. At a certain point, you got to say something. I'm not saying abandon them. I'm not saying get rid of them. I'm not saying anything like that. But all I'm saying is you got to acknowledge, at least, say, look, your values and ours. These are our values. Those are your values. You don't say, well, oh, those are your values that we got to go after, and we have to become more like you. No, that's not it. It seems like there's no compromise here. So unleashing American energy. Here, this is an executive order, and America is blessed with an abundance of energy and natural resources. I'm not advocating, I'm not being an apologist. I am just looking at facts here because nobody, I mean, they're talking executive orders, but nobody actually reads them here. By the authority vested in me as president, America is blessed with an abundance of energy. In recent years, burdensome and ideologically motivated regulations have impeded the development of these resources, limited the generation of reliable and affordable electricity, reduced job creation, and inflicted high energy costs upon our citizens. These high energy costs devastate the American consumers by driving up the cost of transportation, heating, utilities, and farming and manufacturing while weakening our national security. Right? It is thus in the national interest to unleash America's affordable and reliable energy and natural resources. This will restore American prosperity, build our nation's economic and military security. Well, let's see. That may or may not be true here. Let's see what happens. Oh, I can lighten and darken this too, right? Policy. It is the policy of the United States to encourage energy exploration on federal lands, to establish our position as the leading producer and processor of non-fuel minerals, including rare earth metals. Now, how are they going to get around? My question is, how are we going to get around all the mineral rights that sovereign nations have bought in this country? How are we going to get around those? To protect the United States' economic and national security and military preparedness by ensuring that an abundant supply of reliable energy is readily accessible in every state and territory, ensure that all regulatory requirements related to energy are grounded in clearly applicable law, to eliminate the electric vehicle mandate. Right, and again, my question here is this. They're talking about safeguarding the American people's freedom to choose from a variety of foods and appliances, including but not limited to light bulbs, dishwashers, washing machines, gas stoves, water heaters, toilets, and shower heads, and to promote market competition and innovation within the manufacturing and appliance industries. So a lot of states like New York, they're trying to get rid of gas after decades of promoting them. Now they're talking about getting rid of gas stoves. That's what he's talking about here. To ensure that the global effects of a rule, regulation, or action shall, whenever evaluated, be reported separately from its domestic costs and benefits in order to promote sound regulatory decision making and prioritize the interests of the American people. In other words, they're combining the costs of the cost benefit analysis, including the costs to everybody else. So that's going to be separated here with this. And here we go. Immediate review of all agency actions that potentially burden the development of domestic energy resources. Then 30 days from the date of this order, the head of each agency shall, in consultation with the OMB and NEC, National Economic Council, develop and begin implementing action plans to suspend, revise, or rescind all agency actions identified unduly burdensome under subsection A of this paragraph. And this goes on and on and on here. So what else we got here? Revitalizing, again, they're rescinding a lot of executive orders here with this. Here related with basically all this environmental stuff, all these executive orders. Now, let's talk about this for a second. With these executive orders, this is the problem with ruling by executive order. Well, Jim, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Well, if you're going to continue to rule by executive order, and President Trump, believe me, they're paying attention to this on the other side. When one of their people gets in, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to come in and they're going to issue 7 pages of documents, executive orders in the 2.5 days, and they're going to undo all of this. The other thing that's there, and if you're going to be in Congress, I'm going to suspect that they're going to use some of this stuff as these executive orders that were rescinded. They're going to use this as templates, for regulation and law with this. So this is, how long? I don't know. We'll see. All actions, programs, and operations associated with the American Climate Corps, including actions taken by any agency, shall be terminated immediately. And I mean, it goes all the way through. Again, a lot of stuff rescinded on here. With this, and accuracy in environmental assessments. Is that what this is? Prioritizing agency analysis, accuracy in environmental analysis. Let's get the document camera back up here. And the interagency, all federal permitting adjudications or regulatory process, all agencies shall adhere to only the relevant legislative requirements for environmental considerations, and any considerations beyond these requirements are eliminated. So, in other words, if Congress wants this stuff put back, they're going to have to put it back with this. Now, again, all of the, they could have memorialized a lot of this stuff with the agencies, and over the last 4 years, and especially as we go back over the last 50 some years of my lifetime, the Democrats are in control. They could have memorialized a lot of this stuff in legislation with this, and when they had Democratic rule of the houses, of the House or the Senate and the presidency. Why they didn't do it, I have, again, incrementalism. We're going to do things slowly, blah, blah, blah. Again, that they only have themselves to blame on here. Restoring America's mineral dominance, and everything else. Okay. Putting people over fish, stopping radical environmentalism to provide water to Southern California. I have a feeling this has to do with the wildfires. This is a memorandum for the Secretary of Commerce and the Secretary of the Interior. Stop radical environmentalism to provide water to Southern California. I hereby direct. However, let me point out is that one family is in control of a lot of these water resources. And I think you need to address that based on what I know. I hereby direct the Secretary of Commerce and Secretary of the Interior, in consultation with the heads of other departments and agencies of the U.S. states as necessary, to immediately restart the work from my first administration by the National Marine Fisheries Service, blah, 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 and all these other agencies, to route more water from the Sacramento San Joaquin Delta to other parts of the state for use by the people who were desperately need a reliable water supply. During my first term in the state of California, at the direction of its governor, filed a lawsuit to stop my administration from implementing improvements to California's water infrastructure. The cat, right? And everything else. They were looking to protect the Delta smelt and other species of fish. Today, this enormous water supply flows wastefully into the Pacific Ocean. The recent deadly and historical destructive wildfires in Southern California underscore why the state of California needs a reliable water supply and sound vegetation management practices in order to provide water desperately needed there, why this plan must be immediately re-implemented. Again, this is a long-term plan. I've commented on this already. Declaring a national energy emergency by the authority vested in me as president, going on and on. The energy and critical minerals identification, leasing, development, production, transportation, refining, and generation capacity. The United States are all far too inadequate to meet our nation's needs. We need a reliable, diversified, and affordable supply of energy to drive our nation's manufacturing, transportation, agriculture, and defense industries, and to sustain the basics of modern life and military preparedness caused by the harmful and short-sighted policies of the previous administration. Our nation's inadequate energy supply and infrastructure causes, again, when Biden came in the first couple of days, he got rid of the pipelines that they were building. Put 50,000 people out of work, but that was okay. Right? They'll find another job is what they were told. Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe other people will find other jobs. Isn't that wonderful? You're planning on having a nice long career with the federal government and you get thrown out. That's not fair. This active threat to the American people from high energy prices is exacerbated by our nation's diminished capacity to insulate itself from hostile foreign actors. So basically, energy security is national security. This is a 10-page document here. You go through it with that. Restoring freedom of speech and ending federal censorship by the authority vested in me as president, blah, blah, blah. First Amendment, the United States Constitution, enshrines the right of the American people to speak freely in the public square without government interference. Over the last 4 years, the previous administration trampled free speech rights by censoring American speech on online platforms. All right. Exerting substantial and coercive pressure on third parties, such as social media companies, to moderate, deplatform, and otherwise suppress speech that the federal government did not approve, under the guise of combating misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. I was a victim of this originally before this program even started in 2020. I got dinged because I gave a respiratory protection lecture. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Certified safety professional, 25 years experience at that time, or 28 years experience at that time. And someone from Facebook complained because they saw something on TikTok, probably. All right. Again, you can double check all this. This is why I don't go into too much commentary. I read mostly these documents on the air. Again, protecting the rights of free speech. And Zuckerberg has already changed the policy of that, right, on his platforms. All right, going on. Restoring accountability to policy influencing positions within the federal workforce. Purpose. United States Article 2 of the United States Constitution vests the president with the sole and exclusive authority over the executive branch, including the authority to manage federal workforce and ensure effective execution of the federal law. So James Jr., you're doing this in social studies here. This is what it is right here, right? Only 41% of civil service supervisors have confidence they can remove an employee who engaged in insubordination or serious misconduct. Even fewer supervisors are confident that they can remove an employee for poor performance. Here, oh, wasn't that like on? Maybe I should have talked about this around 20 minutes ago. November 13th, 2024. DOL issued a this on this, right? I guess they weren't talking about themselves. Right? Accountability is essential. And basically, they're making this easier to fire people and discipline them in the federal workforce. Now, here we have two things here. Well, no, this one is actually pretty funny here with it. No, you kind of giggle over this, but they already started. It's already entered the vernacular and the colloquialism. Changing the names of, renaming of Mount McKinley, President William McKinley, blah, 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 and everything, Spanish-American War. They named the mountain out of him. Right, and it gives the whole history here, and this is pretty interesting if you're into the history. The secretary shall, they renamed it and reinstate the name Mount McKinley from Denali, I guess it was. I didn't know that they really changed the name here. Got by me here. So it changes it from whatever it is to back to Mount McKinley. I didn't know that they changed it. I don't know. No, it's so and that's number one. What's even funnier is this: the Gulf of America, right? The part, yeah. So the national parks surrounding the area shall retain the name Denali National Park and Preserve. The Secretary will work with this. Right. Well, basically, they're going to work. The Secretary of the Interior shall work with the Alaska Native entities and state and local organizations to adopt names from landmarks to honor the history and culture of the Alaskan people. Section 4, Gulf of America. The area formerly known as Gulf of Mexico has long been an integral asset to our once burgeoning nation. It has remained an indelible part of America. The Gulf was a critical artery for going on and on and on, 1,700-mile coastline, and it is going to be called the Gulf of America. Pretty funny when you consider that, right? Now, here's another one. Now, these other two here, right? Protecting American people against invasion here. Again, this is with the border that they're dealing with. Basically, enforcing immigration laws and everything else. That's been covered time immemorial on other programs, but here's the big one here. Right, I only heard, and I mentioned this on social media. I'm not, and I'm one of the few, and we're one of the few here, commentators here that is actually pointed this out from what I've seen. Protecting the United States from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats. Right? It is a policy of the United States to protect its citizens from aliens who intend to commit terrorist acts, threaten our national security, espouse hateful ideology, or otherwise exploit immigration laws for malevolent purposes. Here, right? We zoom in a little. Here. To protect Americans, the United States must be vigilant during the visa issuance process to ensure that employers, that those aliens approved for admission to the United States do not intend to harm Americans or our national interests. More importantly, the United States must identify them before their admission or entry into the United States. And the United States must ensure that admitted aliens and aliens otherwise already present in the U.S. do not bear hostile attitudes towards its citizens, culture, government, institutions, or founding principles. And there's going to be an enhanced vetting and screening process with this. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Within 60 days of the data, so the Secretary of State, the Attorney General and Homeland Security, Secretary of Homeland Security, and the Director of National Intelligence shall jointly submit to the President, right, identifying countries throughout the world for which vetting and screening information is so deficient as to warrant a partial or full suspension on the admission of nationals from those countries. Identifying how many nationals from those countries have entered or have been admitted into the United States on or since January 20th, 2021. Any other information, blah, 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 deemed relevant. When information as identified was for the exclusion or removal of any alien described in subsection 2B, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall take immediately steps to remove that alien unless she determines that doing so would inhibit a significant pending investigation or prosecution of the alien for a serious criminal offense or will be contrary to national security of the interests of the U.S. They shall also evaluate and adjust all existing regulations, policies, and procedures, and provisions of the Foreign Service Manual, right, to ensure safety and security of American people. And that's basically it. We're going to go and take a brief commercial break, and we'll come back at you here. Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
In an unpredictable world, one voice rises above the chaos. Meet Jim Posel, a seasoned safety expert who's navigated through some of the most dangerous scenarios, from anthrax, explosive cleanups, disasters, and numerous environmental cleanups, and lived to tell the tale. Now he's bringing his wealth of knowledge, insights, and experiences to you through Safety Wars. From workplace hazards to the hidden dangers in your own home, Jim covers it all with his engaging storytelling. Safety Wars isn't just a podcast. It's your guide to a safer world. Join Jim Posel and become part of the Safety Wars revolution. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts and videos. Safety Wars. Your safety is our mission.
All right, so I have the whitehouse.gov webpage here. Again, this is all copyright-free, open source, and everything else. And again, just peruse through it. This is page 6. President Trump designates chairman and acting chairman, flying the flag in the inaugural address. Initial rescissions of harmful executive orders. We covered some of this. Ending the weaponization of the federal government. Again, that was a very in-depth congressional report that documented that whole thing. Regulatory freeze pending review. No. Do not propose or issue any rule in any matter, including by sending the rule to the office of the Federal Register until a department or agency head appointed and designated by the president afternoon on January 2025 reviews and approves the rule. So I guess that would include all the like the heat stress rule and everything else being on hold. That's how I am reading this here with this. So that impacts safety and a couple of other things. There's a hiring freeze, except for some appointments and some other related stuff. America First trade policy. Memorandum to resolve the backlog of security clearances for executive office of the president personnel. Declaring a national emergency at the southern border of the United States. So let's click on that one. America's sovereignty is under attack. Our southern border is overrun by cartels, criminal gangs, known terrorists, human traffickers, smugglers, unvetted military-age males from foreign adversaries, and illicit narcotics, and harm Americans. Going on. Murders from cartels, criminal gangs. Cartels have begun seizing control over parts of cities, also in the United States. Here, attacking our most vulnerable citizens and terrorizing Americans beyond the control of local government. I'm thinking the one in Aurora, Colorado, that apartment building. The assault on the American people and integrity of America's sovereignty borders represent a grave threat. Because of the gravity and emergency, this present danger and imminent threat is necessary for the armed forces to take all appropriate action to assist the Department of Homeland Security in obtaining full operational control of the southern border. Now, therefore, hereby declare a national state of emergency at the southern border exists, meaning that it was right. Hereby declare that a national emergency exists. I've gotten into a debate with somebody else on what this means. When it says exists, it means that there already was one, right? Versus it now exists, meaning today. It exists, meaning it before this order, there was already an emergency. To provide additional authority to the Department of Defense to support the federal government's response to the emergency at the southern border, I hereby declare no armed services. The Secretary of Defense or Secretary of each relevant military department as appropriate. Going on and on. Physical barriers. They're going to build the wall, unmanned aerial systems in there. And now here's my question here. And so terrorists, known terrorists. Our southern border is overrun by cartels, criminal gangs, known terrorists. Okay. Now, my question is, and there's some argument on there. Are the cartels terrorists, according to Trump administration? All right. Let's see what this says. It's from USA Today from 3 hours ago. Donald Trump signed several executive orders saying how his administration plans to designate certain cartels and criminal groups as terrorists, invoke the Alien Enemies Act. Okay, is the Alien Enemies Act mentioned in here? Is this it? Edit. Find. No, it must be another executive order, not in here. If that is true, here, okay, we're just scrolling through here, see if anything came up. Clarifying the military's role in protecting the territorial integrity of the United States. Again, a national emergency exists. The no later than 10 days from the effective date of this order, delivered to the President a revision to the Unified Command Plan that assigns the United States Northern Command, U.S. NORTHCOM, the mission to seal the borders and maintain sovereignty and territorial integrity on here. And it goes on through here, and let's see. All right, that wasn't there. I want to see exactly. Oh, here it is. Protecting the United States from, this is probably what it is. Again, the same thing that we stated here. Enhanced vetting and screening of people coming into the country. Again, here's another environmental one. We just temporary withdrawal of all areas on the outer continental shelf from offshore wind leasing and review of the federal government's leasing and permitting practices for wind projects. I was offered a position here with a company doing this, and I guess good thing I didn't take it because I'd be out of a job. Safety is the first one to go. Ending illegal DEI, I guess, is where we have everybody DEI related is going to be removed from the right. Removing DEI from the FAA, keeping America safe in the aviation. Guaranteeing the state's protection against invasion. Develop designating cartels. Here we go. And other organizations as foreign terrorist organizations. Now, this is what the problem here is. We're going to read this and then we're going to call it a day. The international cartels constitute a national security threat beyond that posed by traditional organized crime. And going on here, converging themselves under the cartels have engaged in a campaign of violence and terror throughout the Western Hemisphere that not only destabilized countries with significant importance of our national interests, but also flooded the U.S. with drugs, violent criminals, and vicious gangs. The cartels functionally control through a campaign of assassination, terror, rape, and brute force nearly all illegal traffic across the southern border of the United States. Certain portions of Mexico, they function as quasi-governmental entities, controlling nearly all aspects of society. The cartel's activities threaten the safety of the American people. Their activities, proximities, and incursions. This has been going on for like 15, 20 years that going across the border and nobody does a damn thing about it. I'm sorry. I mean, with military equipment also been well documented here. Not necessarily recently, but it's been well documented. I talked to people who have been on the southern border and the military has always had a presence there. Here. Going on, transnational, right? So this is what the problem is here with this executive order here. And what the problem here is this. You're an immigrant family, you're a migrant, whatever we want to call. And if you give money to the cartels to bring you across, or you buy the drugs, you're a drug dealer coming across, anything like that, now you're aiding and abetting, right? And materially giving material to a terrorist organization. Right? These coyotes are working for the cartels, allegedly, from my understanding of this. Now you're paying the coyotes, you are paying the cartels. Now you have an issue because now you're aiding and abetting terrorists. Just calling it like I see it. There's talk I spoke to yesterday, somebody in the New York City school district, nobody official, really, that can't, no, they're not going to go on the record here, obviously, that the schools were told not to cooperate with ICE. Now, are they aiding and abetting terror, people who are aiding and abetting terrorists? I don't know. Are these cities now aiding and abetting people who are involved with terrorism? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It all. Someone said, "Well, Jimmy, what do you think about this?" And I said very plainly, it all depends on how far down this rabbit hole everybody wants to go. And that's basically it. Yeah, this is all good, but how far down that rabbit hole do we really want to go? So that's all I got for tonight. We went almost 2 hours here for this. And as I say, no, hour 2 is politics. It's not on Safety FM. But, that's what it is. So I will see you, God willing, tomorrow. Oh, hit all the buttons at one time.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position